people who love this country can change it. America isn't Congress, America isn't Washington, America is the striving immigrant who starts a business, or the mom who works 2 low-wage jobs to give her kid a better life. America's the union leader and the CEO who put aside their differences to make the economy stronger. America's the student who defies the odds to become the first in the family to go to college. The citizen who defies the cynics and goes out there and votes. The young person who comes out of the shadows to demand the right to dream. That's what America's about.
President Obama has made more than his fair share of promises to people in order to get elected, which makes him just like every other wide-eyed wunderkind who believes they and they alone can change America for the greater good. But then here's the poser. If the elected official you back not just once but twice has failed to deliver on a key promise to win your vote, why would you still blindly and eagerly support him and his people, or her for that matter, knowing full well they could indeed be just using you for the paycheck and power? All right, welcome to Midpoint and the Arena. Mary Ramirez is here with Chris Salcedo on the nationally syndicated The Blaze Radio Network, and we welcome back the founder and executive director of Border Angels, Enrique Morones. We thank you both for being here.
Sure.
Mary, I'm going to start with you. Ladies first. President Obama has come right out and he has said that I'll get immigration reform done. It's going to happen. Oh, wait, I'm going to put it off, and I'm going to put it off, and again. Why would the Latino voters want to stay with someone who has not done what he promised?
You know, it is interesting. I mean, under this president, look who's suffered. You know, the Latino population, the African-American population, everyone he's made promises to. So it is interesting. But, you know, this is someone who makes promises about amnesty in particular, and that's something that's very attractive to the Hispanic community. So I think that has a huge bit to do with it.
All right, Enrique, to you then. I want to set the stage here. Do you also agree with that when people say, why would the Latinos stay with the Democrats?
Well, one thing for sure is we're not looking for amnesty. You know, amnesty means to forget. It comes from the Greek word like amnesia. One of the things that we're looking for is a pathway to documentation and humane immigration policies. And it's been very disappointing that President Obama has, more than twice, has promised to come through with that, and he keeps on postponing it. I understand there's a lot of issues on the table, but this is something that he can do. We expect him to do, and unfortunately, it's the best realistic alternative we have right now. And but we got to hold his feet to the fire, and we expect that after the midterms, he acts big on executive action because he's made too many promises that he hasn't come through with.
Well, but is executive action? Oh, wait a minute. Go ahead. You wanted to add something?
Can I interject? Yeah. You know, the thing is, though, if it's the right thing to do, if it is morally correct, if it is what this nation stands for and what we need to do, why doesn't the president just do it before the elections? Why is he then waiting until after November? Because he knows that the majority of the American population doesn't want to see our nation become a lawless state. You know, I don't understand if it's the moral thing to do. Why are we waiting?
Enrique, you have to admit that what Mary's pointing out here is very true. There's a lot of Latinos out there that I've spoken to personally who tell me that they feel used by this president because he keeps putting it off, and then we get the executive action note in here. Why would they not have that feeling?
Like I was, mentioning, the alternative is even worse, and it's really a sad state of affairs. Both sides of the aisle have used the race card, not only with Latinos but with other communities, and not only with race. And it's absolutely wrong. But we really need to have an alternative to both parties, which we realistically don't have right now. I remember way back when Ralph Nader was the one that was kind of holding things up because he wanted to get his word out there. And that was not helpful. And right now we really don't have a realistic alternative. It will cost an election, and it will really hurt both sides of the aisle. And I think that both sides of the aisle, the Republicans and the Democrats, really need to look at themselves and say, are we doing what's right for the country, or are we just doing what's right for us to get reelected?
Well, okay, let's take that point right there. You mentioned that. That would then fall, while you say that both sides are to blame here, you would then have to admit that it's the president right now who says, I'm going to hold off on executive action until after the midterms. That seems to many like nothing more than a political ploy. Get these people elected, get the Democrats elected, then maybe we'll come back at it again. Isn't that, though, the biggest problem here? That's the using factor.
Yeah,
exactly.
But both sides have done that, right? Exactly.
Well, both sides have done it, but the president is the one right now who holds the trigger with the executive action, so he's the one that could have done it before the midterms, but he chose not to. You have to admit that that is suspect.
Well, there's a lot of issues that he's dealing with, and, the debacle of the Bush-Cheney war in Iraq, that's going to cost 50, 60, 70 years for that mess to get straightened out somewhat. And the situation in many other issues has just gotten out of hand. And so the president is looking at the broader picture. I wish he would take executive action. I personally.
All right, Mary, I'm going to get to you here because, again, we hear that there's the Bush-Cheney war, so we're going backward a little bit here. Bring us forward again.
Here's the thing, though. He's been in office now for a term and a half. I mean, this is really, we need to stop blaming the past administration. We need to have him start taking responsibility for his administration, for his actions, for his debt. I mean, you mentioned the Bush-Cheney war and the debt that has caused. This president has accumulated more debt than all past presidents combined. The thing is, the mess that we see at the table right now is his mess. We need to stop going back. We need to look forward. If his action, if his modus operandi is to grant amnesty to via executive order, why doesn't he do it? If he believes that is the morally correct thing to do, he's playing politics, just as Ed mentioned.
Okay, I only got about a minute and a half here. Mary, first to you on this then. Seeing as we have this opportunity here, there are many groups that are saying, wait a minute, we're not telling the Latino voters to abandon the Democrats. We want them to get back in there, vote for the Democrats again, not to vote for the Republicans. All right, I ask you flat out then, you hold the vote in your hand. Would you still vote for the president, or would you then change your vote to a Republican?
Well, I don't vote Democrat, number one.
No, but I understand that. But if you were then voting for the president, would you just say,
no,
that's
absolutely.
it, I'm out, I'm going to vote for somebody else?
To be honest with you, I mean, if you're looking at a Hispanic or Latino who is banking on the president to pull the lever for amnesty, then yes, probably. I probably would move my vote elsewhere.
All right. How about you, Enrique? Would you do that?
I definitely would vote for President Obama. Immigration is just one of many issues. Not looking for amnesty. And the Bush-Cheney debacle is going to go on for 50 or 60 years. Trying to say, don't talk about that, that's not going to fly. I mean, they're the ones to blame. The situation is going to continue to multiply. Eventually.
10 seconds, Mary. Go ahead. Mary, 10 seconds.
Can I interject? I'm sorry, Enrique, you keep saying you don't want amnesty, but then what is it exactly that this president's executive order would do, if not grant amnesty?
Deportations, it would enhance DACA. It's a totally different type of a situation. It's not amnesty.
No, it would legalize millions of illegal aliens.
These people don't want to be citizens. We just want them to be documented. And
that's the problem.
That's the same opportunity that people had 100 or 200 years ago. Right now, there is no line for them to get in.
All right, and unfortunately, I got to draw a line right there because we're out of time. It always happens when you get right down to the end of the segments. It really starts to get interesting. I'll tell you what, Mary Ramirez, Enrique Morones, thank you so much for being with us. We're going to continue this discussion soon.
It's been a pleasure.
All right, later in the show, the one thing every American must demand from every politician in every midterm race this year and beyond. That's coming up right here on Midpoint.
Job numbers are out today, and unemployment dips to a 6-year low. U.S. employers added nearly 250,000 jobs during the month of September. The jobless rate in America now under 6%, the lowest it's been since 2008. President Obama tells the Congressional Hispanic Caucus that he plans to take executive action on immigration reform sometime between midterm elections and the end of the year. A military intelligence report advises members of the armed forces and their loved ones to be careful about what they post online amid fears that terrorists could use that information to find them. ISIS is calling on supporters to slaughter American troops and their families. A freelance cameraman working with NBC in Liberia is now fighting Ebola. Doctors Without Borders confirms that the Rhode Island native tested positive for the virus. And take a look at this. 2 great white sharks in the waters up the South Australian coast in a tussle over territory. I'm Rick Blackwell. More news coming up in a half hour.